So, but what role does diet play in maintaining a healthy heart, according to your experience with the people you take care of?
Sure. It's actually interesting that you asked that because last holiday season was my first actual season of doing the heart sound recording. I started back at the end of 2022. So I went all the way through 23, and it didn't matter what the protocol was and how good it was to a T, but the sugar intake changed drastically.
And you could see it on the heart sound.
People were coming in, and I just sat and looked at them like, what's different?
Right.
They're like, I'm taking all my stuff. You know, they're like, I swear, I'm taking all
6
of
candy
it.
canes, 2 Christmas cookies, and a great big latte.
And then I'll go, so what was Thanksgiving like? Or what have you been doing to celebrate Christmas early?
Right.
And it all pointed back to just sugar, cookies, dessert, pies, bread. I mean, it was very interesting. I'm actually really excited to see it again this year. Now, I mean, we're coming up on a lot of different sugar holidays.
Exactly.
Too.
That's what I was going to say with the end of the month with
and
Easter.
Summer with people that are consuming alcohol. It's just going to be really interesting to compare this year or last year to this year.
Woo! Hey!
It's time. Another episode. Who are we?
Living well together.
Yeah, having a big
life.
in a tiny town.
Small town. Yeah.
Yeah.
He always mixes it up a little bit.
You got to
Keep people
throw
guessing.
a twist on it.
You got to keep people guessing. We are so excited today.
Totally.
Because we've got one of our team, one of our family.
One of our players,
is here today to share some. And so this is going to be one of those episodes where there's a little bit of health focus.
Love health focus.
Well,
people
because
are asking for health focus.
I was going to
too.
say we catch a little heat because health care is our kind of our jam.
Yep.
And we don't always broadcast about that because we like to highlight some other things in the community. So today actually is going to have not just a health focus, but a specific focus on cardiovascular health. So we've got with us today our very own Living Well nutritional consultant.
Hey.
Haylie Stites!
Haley, yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
This is Haley, guys.
Yep. And how long have you been with us now here in the office as a staff employee, certified do things person?
It'll be 4.5 years, 5 in November.
Coming up on our 5th birthday.
We are blessed to have her as part of our team for sure.
How'd you get here in the first place?
Lisa, nutrition counseling.
Right.
I put off chiropractic care for a year and couldn't put it off anymore.
Right.
So it used to be that Lisa was our nutritional consultant.
True.
And so back in the day when she was on our team and in the office, people would come, schedule a time, get evaluated, and we would tailor some things. We've added some new technology, which we're going to talk about today. But as she transitioned into some other things, it was really important for us to bring somebody in who could duplicate those services because our people, they depend on it. So at the end of the day, we needed to train somebody up, get somebody fresh out of the mix.
Somebody who loves everything about nutrition too. Like she is a sponge. She is absorbing all this information. She's going through specialized training, plus previous specialized training just to learn the technology. And then she gets to work with clients and they do so well.
Yeah.
But you were in traditional healthcare more so before we found you.
Yes,
What were you doing
absolutely
then?
was. I was a medical assistant at Dayton Children's in the hematology oncology unit for about 5 years. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave when my 5-year mark comes up.
I see a pattern
We'll go
developing.
past that.
I see a pattern.
You were there for 5 years?
Yeah, just about.
Oh my gosh.
And then I transitioned into labor and delivery as an OB tech for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And then I found my way here.
Yeah.
So it all just aligned very nicely.
Isn't God so good like that?
Yes.
Super
Yeah,
fun.
Absolutely.
And we got to interview her for a while because you knew her as a nutrition client and I knew her as a spinal care client.
Right.
So we got to kind of raise you up a little tiny bit.
Yeah.
A little.
Like our extra kid. And then suddenly it's like, hey, guess what? We've got a place for you on our team. And it's working out really, really well.
And like you had mentioned that your world started to align with your purpose.
Yeah. It was really, at first it was really easy to try to hide it and deny it and put it away. And then eventually it just became so clear. It was like, you just have to go after it. And
What was the barricade though? Why would that not seem clear? Or how was that not clear?
I think just in traditional in a traditional setting, it paid the bills. And it was kind of one of those things where it's like you just stay for the benefit of what you're doing. And that is not the way my heart works.
Yeah.
And you're working with kids too.
Yes.
And not just kids, but sick kids. And you've got a heart for that.
Very
Right.
sick kids. I miss the kids, but I certainly don't miss the settings at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So once you got the hang of this, hey, there's another way to look at this, it made it a little easier maybe to transition out of that and kind of into this avenue.
Yeah, when I was over in the clinic, a doctor said to me, I'm all about chiropractic care, but as soon as they start claiming to treat psoriasis, I'm out. And I was like, I don't think this is the place for me.
That's a great point, though. And we'll come back to that point because at the end of the day, we don't treat psoriasis.
No.
And we don't treat infertility. And we don't treat arthritis. And we don't treat people, we treat people. We don't treat the disease.
Yeah.
We look at the way people are living and behaving and structurally compromised or emotionally compromised or neurologically compromised. But the body heals itself, right? Doctors don't do the healing.
Yeah, it's true.
It's really just
No matter
about,
what kind of doctor. Yeah.
Doctors don't do
They
the
provide
healing.
solutions, they provide options, but
But the Creator has put this package
Exactly.
together in a way that lets it heal itself and
Yeah.
regulate itself and find its way home again if you just get rid of what's in the way.
yeah, taking no credit. Us, right?
100%.
Taking no credit.
100%. And so you have just gotten better at a skill set that says, here's how you help people get rid one of two things. Either A, get rid of something that's keeping them from being healthy, or B, add something that they're deficient in that is keeping them from being healthy. And the reality is that's how all disease happens. Either
Right.
too much of something or not enough of something.
Yeah.
So the technique that we're going to focus on today is going to focus on cardiovascular health.
Yes.
Because she has been rocking that for lots of people. And so we're going to talk about how you either put something in that you don't have yet, or you take something out that shouldn't be there.
Yes.
That's really what it comes down to.
You touched a little bit on the sugar and how obvious that was during the holiday season. And that is something that could be taken out. And then you support them through whatever vitamin protocols or nutritional protocols that you find through this testing.
Yeah.
So are we going to do like a demonstration?
A demo? Well, let's talk about what it reads first.
Okay. Oh, I just got everybody excited about the demo though.
Let's talk about what
Did I get you excited about the demo too?
I'm not ready for the strip search.
This is the joy of it. Yes, this is the joy of this technology.
Well, and that is one of the high points, I will
Yes.
say, is that you get to stay dressed the whole time. They're not
Okay.
going to strip you down, put you in a paper gown, make you sit on a metal stool. And,
Nope.
Fully clothed.
Right
Fully
on.
clothed
the whole
Right
time.
on. But what are we going to look for? So this specifically, what we'll focus on for the next few minutes is cardiovascular health. Why would we focus on that? From a chiropractic office, if you said, hey, I'm going to my chiropractor, like this person that you've mentioned, as soon as they say they treat this, well, we're not going to treat this.
Yeah.
What we are going to do, though, is look for imbalances in that system. What's the leading cause of death in our country?
Cardiovascular disease.
Cardiovascular disease.
Right,
yeah.
Have we seen a change in that in the last 3 years for any reason whatsoever?
We have seen a huge change.
Massive
Absolutely.
change in cardiovascular disease, stroke behavior, clotting, all kinds of crazy cardiovascular episodes.
Right.
And that's why a couple of years ago, we started focusing on, do we have a role to play in cardiovascular health? First of all, how does your heart even know when to beat?
Your brain.
Right. So we've got
I've worked here almost
yeah,
5 years.
it wasn't a trick question.
I should know that.
A+, A+.
I should know that right off the top of my head.
But we've got to focus on that, right? If the brain isn't getting the proper signal to the heart can't do the proper thing. So that's goal number one. But even after that, we're still seeing all this interruption in
Yeah.
normal, healthy function, which is why we did some more homework, right? And we've sent Haylie for some training and scratch the surface of some other really neat things. Tell us, though, about measuring, and maybe we can get like pictures.
They're going
We'll
to.
get some pictures of what it looks like from a graph standpoint. Tell us a little bit about the technology, though.
Sure. So it started way back in the day. It was an what was it called?
I think you wrote it right.
I did, didn't I? I think
Yes,
I put
you
it.
did.
Now all of a sudden I'm like having a tongue.
It is called the echocardiogram. Is that right?
Echocardiograph.
Graph.
Yeah,
Yes,
there we go.
by Dr. Royal Lee.
Yes.
So way back, it's been around for a long time, and then they revamped it and made it modern day. But it specifically it's just a microphone essentially, and it's listening and hearing what the common ear can't hear. So it goes beyond that stethoscope and listens to what your heart is doing in the moment while you're sitting there and looks at the rate, rhythm, and tone of each of your heart sounds. So we need a sound 1 and a sound 2 to complete a heart circuit. And we're looking at both the lub and the dub in that moment and what's happening in between when the heart is supposed to be resting. That's what we're really focusing on and looking for some different disturbances that are happening.
So it produces a graph, and we'll put that graph
dub.
up.
I love that.
But
Love dub.
it's actually what part of the heart is making the noise? What part of the heart or what are we collecting sound from?
So you're listening to the mitral and the tricuspid valve, which is like the meat, and that, I mean, that's the heart of the heart.
Right.
Is the meat, the muscle.
Okay.
So the overall nerve conductivity of the heart that's actually pumping. And then the aortic and the pulmonic valve are more of those. They're listening to the valves that are closing with the ventricles that are opening and closing while the blood flow is happening.
So the valves, is it fair to say the valves are kind of like trap doors? Like there's 4 chambers in that heart, and then the valves are kind of like trap doors that let blood either come in or go out.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Very fair.
Okay.
Very easy way to make it make sense.
Right.
So yes.
Well,
And so when's the lub dub thing come in?
boom, boom. One. Yeah, that was my
Got some music going.
my rap sound.
Yeah.
Sounds good with a headset.
It does sound actually good. We should.
But yeah,
Okay,
the
so
heart,
that gives me
so-
a good visual. Thank you.
But it does create it creates a sound, and the sound is based on 2 things. It's electrical energy and chemistry, right? Because it's chemistry that's governing a lot of the electrical function, and vice versa. So the quality of the sound is going to give you feedback on the quality of the tone.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yep.
Because those valves are muscular. So muscles only do what the brain says, but the brain and the electrical system needs certain chemistry in order to be fully functional.
Right.
So we're looking at nerve conduction and chemistry balance.
Yes, which is a big thing. Just to touch on the sugar. What I noticed is that in between the sound 1 and sound 2, there was an extreme change in fluttering and other sounds that were just happening over and over. And usually when that is happening, that just is a signal that the chemical energy that we're taking in from our food is not being converted into the electrical energy that our heart needs to function.
Hold on. What you're saying is what you eat or consume has an impact on how your heart works?
Absolutely. Through and through, all day, every day.
Amazing.
Shocked.
Yeah. It's pretty,
But you know what?
Interesting.
It is one of those things where we do take all of that for granted. We don't think about it. We just assume our heart's going to do what it's supposed to do no matter what we put in our body. We think about sugar for hyperactivity. We don't think about it for our heart. We think about it for our pancreas, but we don't think about it for our heart.
No.
Well, that's why it's the leading cause of death, and B, they call heart disease the silent killer. Because by the time you're getting clues, it's already late staged. 64% of the time, the first symptoms of heart disease is a heart attack.
Right.
And there's a high percentage of those people that don't live.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if we can monitor tone and tempo and rate and rhythm and upregulate or downregulate whatever needs modified, that person has a much better chance of not only avoiding cardiovascular disease, but avoiding death. Death is bad for your health, I'll just tell you now.
Yeah. And all be all.
Thank you, Dr. McCoskey.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's my professional opinion.
We should go back to rapping.
Okay, so is that well, I was thinking that you guys could do this first, and then I could hit some of these like nutrition questions after you guys do it.
I'm going to plead a little bit of ignorance, so I'm just going to be the patient.
He's going to be the patient, and Haylie is going to.
Do we have enough room? Is this enough space?
Yeah, we'll make it work.
And I get to leave my shirt on?
Shirt
Yes.
stays on, and then she'll.
all right.
For viewers.
Yeah.
For viewers' sake.
Yeah. Well,
I can't do it with my eyes closed.
I'm in that 98% of the population who looks way better with clothes on. Yeah, I'm in that percentage.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I'll just get logged in here.
So,
Do we want to go all the way through a full one? Or
No,
just want to set up?
how long does it take? How long does the full one take?
Without going over it and explaining it very quickly.
5
Are we
minutes?
allowed to talk? Can the patient talk while it's happening?
No.
Then we're going to do a quick demo.
Well, but she and I can talk as you're being quiet.
Do you know how hard that is for me?
I know it's almost impossible, but
It's
you
next
can
to
do
impossible.
it. Do we have that masking tape?
Well, here's a question. Men or women? If you're looking at male versus female, have you seen a difference in who has more issues or less issues?
No, I don't think that has been brought to my attention. There's nothing that I've been specifically looking for with that. A heart is a heart. And so it really just depends on how well it's being fed.
And we're coming up on about a year
like
now that
that.
we've had the technology. Am I right? A little over a year, maybe?
A little over a year. Yeah.
So what we've got now is some data that says, and everybody who's been measured, and you got hundreds of those, everybody can have a baseline scan
Right.
by which they can make comparisons for the future.
It makes so much sense to have one done.
And
yeah.
so how young can I be? How young is the youngest person to get a heart sound recording?
The youngest one in this building is 5.
Yeah.
5.
It was Eliana.
Right.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
So as long as your heart is beating, those sounds are measurable,
Yeah.
and you can detect any imbalances
Yeah.
no matter how old the person.
Well,
correct.
and
Beautiful.
especially because in the news you do hear a lot about younger and younger people being affected.
Oh my gosh, high school athletes
Yes.
collapsing on the field over
Right.
the last 2 or 3 years.
Exactly. And so knowing that these kids can come in sooner rather than later.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, for sure. If they're an athlete, it might be a good idea to get checked.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, what's nice about the product, at least from a B Core standpoint that we have, which is usually the most common thing that gets brought up as a recommendation to help resolve some of these disturbances that are going on. It can be chewed.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't taste great.
Yeah.
But
But it
can be
doesn't taste
chewed.
horrible.
No, it doesn't
Yeah.
taste horrible. I mean, Dr. McCoskey and I went to a seminar back in October, and it was really focused on sports injury and prevention and healing and restoration of that. But they touched on the HSR and the benefits. And Dr. Keppel, I think that was his. I'm like, I always get it mixed up between that or
I don't remember who it was.
I think it was Dr. Keppel, I think is the name. I could be totally messing that up. But he had a patient that was 2.
Oh, yes.
You remember? And they were, it was fantastic. Just the testimony that they had, and he just chewed it up.
Right.
So it was kind of a game changer. I think that's when I brought Eliana in. And
Actually, that whole weekend, my takeaway from that whole conference was because it was an athletic injury and recovery thing. And so here's the nutrition for injured
Right.
tissue, yada, yada, yada. But you know what? Everybody's an injured athlete.
Right.
If you've fallen down the stairs, if you've crashed on your skateboard, so in other words, the body doesn't know whether you're a pro athlete, a college athlete, or an old lady who just fell off the curb.
Yeah.
The needs of the
did
body
that.
nutritionally are the same. Yeah. Did you say you've done that?
Yeah. I'm the old lady that fell off the curb.
all right,
What do the kids call that?
A non-fall.
Yeah.
a non-fall. Oh, that's
I do it often. It's okay.
No, it's not
I'm
often.
good at it now.
It's been a time or two. You don't do it often.
extremely graceful, just like everything else
No,
I do,
it's
I'm
really
sure.
not.
Well, one, I mean,
It's not. That's why we are glad it
always a
doesn't
learning.
happen frequently.
And you have a travel adjusting table, which is nice,
Oh,
and one
it
at home.
always- Yes, it helps to know who you're married to.
Yeah. What a saving grace.
Oh, let's keep
right.
moving. I feel
Okay.
a little sweat coming
So-
on.
I know. I was going to
Flustered.
say the pressure's on you. So are you going to
Okay.
be okay?
And
with-
I'm sitting here drinking caffeinated coffee. So I'm sure this test is going to be great.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
This will
Yeah.
be
I
interesting.
don't know that I've ever done one on someone that is actively drinking a cup of coffee.
Yeah, it's not whiskey.
Okay,
it's
so
coffee.
no more talking, and then Haley's going to start, and then we are going. She's going to just kind of talk through what she's doing. Is that okay, Haley? Can you?
Should I take these off while I'm moving?
Sure.
I don't know if it'll
Yep.
come with me.
I think.
We'll see.
If you've got enough cord, you can move around. If you don't, just slide them off.
Maybe I'll just ask for your help. Okay, so I'm going to go on the outside of your shoulder and then underneath this.
Okay.
And then Haley, what are you measuring this time?
At this moment in time, we're going to listen to the first 2 valves, so the
Okay.
mitral and the tricuspid.
Okay.
I'm just going to move this over. It's usually right under. That looks good.
Let me know if you need me to hold anything in place.
It should stay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see. Okay.
This is extremely painful. No, it's not.
And you're not supposed to talk. Go into
So-
your Zen zone.
My favorite thing to
Thank you.
say to a patient when we're in this moment is, I'm going to do my best not to talk to you so that
Yes.
you're not prompted to talk back to me. Because although it
perfect.
can't hear my voice, it does hear yours. It's the
That's beautiful,
It's
Haley.
the nicest way that I can say it. And and then oftentimes what they'll say is, oh, you just want me to stop talking.
So they figured out.
And it's like, it's
But
okay.
that's okay.
I love that we're talking,
Yeah.
but let's just get this out, like out of the way so that we can spend the rest of our time talking.
Yes,
Because
chitter-chatting. Otherwise, you have to redo it, right?
you do. And then you just wait and wait and wait. And okay.
Yeah.
So that recording is done. It's very quick.
And so Haley's had to learn what to look for as far as the measurements on the graph too, right, Haylie?
Just hold that right there, if that's okay. I'm sorry.
The measurements on the graph, and that's how you have to be able to read it. Like you can do this physical part, but you really have to know what the results are telling you.
Yes. So I try to be mindful when I'm watching it happen, just to get a good look at what their normal may be.
Okay.
If it's someone new, I obviously don't know what to expect. And so I like to pick up, because sometimes you'll see different fluttering that's happening, and it could just be a simple deep breath that it rubbed up against that. And so you really just have to know what you're looking for and see like if you can really identify what that sound 1 and sound 2 is. And then we just go from there. Then I let it do its thing, and I get it to a nice place so that I can get it ready to review with the patient when it's done. And then as long as we're following up and working together, every time they come in, we'll do a recording, and then we just compare it to the last one.
Okay.
And we talk about any changes, positive or negative.
Okay.
If we're going to make changes to the protocol, that's exactly what we'll do. They'll leave with those changes in hand. And then oftentimes what I do find is we just keep the protocol the same.
Yeah.
Because
if it's working.
We find that a lot of times it really just does work.
Yeah.
But I will say people will come in and they'll say, well, I haven't taken any of my supplements. And
they do tell on themselves.
They get lower and lower and they whisper, and I'm like, it's okay.
I would rather they be honest.
Yes.
At least when I was in the office, I always preferred it just tell me true.
Okay, I'm going to bring it on the outside of the shoulder now. So now we're going to listen up at the top to the aortic valve.
You want him to hold it?
That if you can. Sometimes you can get the straps really tight, and then sometimes it's just uncomfortable.
Well, when you have muscles like this too, it stretches
Ooh,
strap.
Now I'm like, whoa. Now you're really going to make them sweat. It's funny. It's kind of interesting because this valve is actually correlated to digestion.
Oh.
I don't know how Dr. Royal Lee conveyed the two and made them, but it is amazing. And it's quite interesting just to see, because you'll often find that, again, the first two valves that we listen to are really focusing on the meat, the heart, the whole heart of the heart.
Right.
And then the top two are those valves and the ventricles that are opening and closing. And so
this one has to do with digestion. It's interesting because there are some foods that I'll eat and they kind of make my heart race. So that is interesting. So I wonder what it would look like if I had one of those strapped on me.
Yeah. I would love to do just a whole day of monitoring someone's HSRs. I don't know what we would find, but it would be really interesting to say the least.
Interesting, yes.
Yeah.
So you think the B vitamins are the things, as far as from a deficiency standpoint, that you notice the most with the heart sound recorder?
Yes. That would just be the most common.
The most common, okay.
It's the easiest one to spot and to see, and we are actually finished. So that
Good job, babe. High five.
That was easy.
It's very easy. It flows. But yes, so the B1 and B4 are those, especially the non-synthetic forms of those two things, are really what's going to support the chemical energy coming from our food and the things we're putting in our body and converting it over to the electrical.
So what you said was super important about the non-synthetic. Yes. So what does non-synthetic mean?
Whole foods.
Whole food supplementation.
Foods.
Yeah.
Yes.
The reason why.
Wait a minute. You mean there's a difference in vitamin supplements? Like they're not all the same?
They are not all created equal.
Actually, at that seminar, we learned there are three. There are three pharmaceutical companies that produce 90% of the vitamins people buy. And they're the exact same thing. And vitamins are just like anything else. You can buy top shelf, middle shelf, bottom shelf. And they're all the same, basically. They've just got a different wrapper on them, and they charge more for these than they do for these.
Yeah.
But three companies produce 90% of the trash that people are putting into their systems, hoping for the better outcome. What do we use in here? Why don't we use those? There's a little commercial.
Why do we use
standard process?
Yeah.
Well, they're very well known for their organic farming when they can.
Yes.
And then just their local sourcing, the whole foods that go into it. What is their slogan? It's like from farm to table, maybe, or from farm. It's something like that. Our poor Abby would be she would be not impressed. She'd be like, didn't I teach you anything? Maybe I should phone her. Can I phone a friend?
I would think you're too young to know that show. Oh my gosh.
Well,
I actually can't tell you where that's from. But
he wants to be a millionaire.
yes, my mom used to love it. That's why.
Yep.
Okay, now I know.
With
Now
Regis
you know.
Philbin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. But they are very concerned about putting together the correct formulas just based on Royal Lee's from, how far back?
1930s,
Yes.
like 1940s. It goes way back. He is a pioneer.
He is a pioneer. And he's also the man that created this. He was a dentist, right? Is that how he got started, babe?
I believe so.
And so I've always loved Biodent. That's that particular
Oh my
formula.
That was
Well,
that was like the number one product from that seminar.
And from a synthetic standpoint, there's a huge difference between the vitamin A that's manufactured in a test tube laboratory and the vitamin A that you would get from a carrot, right? Because the carrot's going to have all these other nutrients, some of which we know about in the carrot, and many, many things in a carrot only God knows about. Like we didn't build it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're going to put whole foods into the body because the body is engineered to metabolize food. Where did Adam and Eve live? Right? And so all your needs can be met with food, but the food that we're eating today is very different than the food Royal Lee worked with in the 1930s.
Right.
Because of the pollution and the way soil's been damaged and the pesticides and some of the things. So it is, when you'd say, who should take vitamin supplements? I've heard vitamin supplements are a bunch of crap. Well, at the end of the day, you're eating garbage food that's been produced in a garbage environment.
Or in a laboratory.
And food supplementation is essential for health. The question is not, do you need it? The question is, are you doing it?
Right.
So I'm not sure what the slogan is, Haylie, but what Royal Lee said in 1929 was, without vitality in the soil, there's no vitality in the bottle. And if everybody thinks about it like going through the grocery store produce section when they're shopping for their vitamins and nutrients, then that's a good way to look at it in my mind.
We had a patient come in as a new patient, and she just blew my mind on this. But I typically do the new patient interviews too here in the office. And so I was asking her, just going through the process, and we stopped and touched on her vitamins and supplements. I typically like to ask if people are already kind of indulged in that. I like to know what they're taking in, just so that he knows too. And she said, well, I don't take vitamins and supplements, but I do have my nutrients every day. And I was like, I think I love you. I was like, that was the most beautiful thing. And it has stuck with me. And I tell everyone, I want to stand on the roof and just scream it in a megaphone and be like, they're not vitamins and supplements. They're nutrients.
Well, people tend to think anything in a form of a pill is like a prescription drug.
Or medicine.
I don't want to take my medicine, but I will take my nutrients.
Yeah.
Kids don't need medicine. Kids need nutrients.
Right.
And so, that is a really important distinction to make.
And I think that just the power that it has alone in the brain and the subconscious mind to remind the body, like, I am feeding you and I'm feeding you well. And I'm giving you those nutrients that you need to thrive. And I just thought it was so good. It was like juicy. I was like, yes, I'm taking this for life.
That is amazing. And so one of the things that you do is you're able to, just like what you're talking about with the thumbprint, their protocols are personalized to them based on what your findings are.
Absolutely. Yeah. From just the amount that they take to how long they're going to take it. I would say B-Core is a lifer. That's what I tell most people.
Yes.
You can take 100%. It until you're no longer breathing in a life. Because there's nothing wrong. You're not going to, you're not going to out-eat.
Can't overdo it.
Yeah, you're not going to eat what you are getting from that supplement. So.
And stress is a B depleter. The stress in our lives is so great right now, and everybody needs B, really.
Yes.
But it just depends on the quality, the kind, and how much that they would need.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of Bs. There's a lot of Bs, and I know a lot of people just focus on that B6 and B12, but there's so many in between and outside of that. And so to not know what you're taking, to just take it, I think this is a really nice way to validate those
definitely
nutrients
is.
I'm taking are actually working. They're
Right.
actually benefiting me.
Yes.
I'm not just
Or not.
Right.
or not
not.
because some people, I will say this too, that not everyone needs B core.
Yeah.
Sometimes they need B2.
Yeah.
Or they need vascular because they need vascular support and integrity in that way. So
Yeah.
it truly just depends. And the only way we're going to know is by testing it through a heart sound recording.
That's what I love
Test,
about
not
measurement.
guess.
Yeah.
Test,
it
not
takes
guess.
away all the guessing.
Yeah.
So everybody has their own individual protocol. In other words, and we talked about this, I think, maybe before we were recording, right? Before we had started, but we're talking about a personalized program.
Right.
Because not everybody's the same. And in traditional healthcare, they'll give everybody the same protocol. And whether you're 65 and have high blood pressure or whatever, everybody gets cholesterol medicine. Everybody gets a blood pressure pill. Everybody gets a blood thinner. Nobody is getting heart support. Everybody's getting a mechanism for override. If your blood pressure's high, we got to lower it. If you're, whatever, cholesterol's high, we got to lower it. And so rather than finding out why the stress is there, everything in traditional healthcare is just designed to override what they don't like in the numbers.
Yeah.
So you're talking about building everybody an individual protocol based on who they are and what the function is. Which is very different than what would happen in a traditional healthcare
And
setting.
I think something to add to that is I'm not here to tell them what to do.
Right.
I'm supporting them. All I'm doing is providing them with knowledge so they can make a better choice on how to feed their body better. If you want to take a supplement, take it. If you don't, let's find ways that we can change without maybe taking more supplements if you don't feel like adding to your protocol. I'm just here. I'm here to support them and to advocate and teach them how to advocate for themselves as well. That I'm not here to just say like, well, you need this, 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 and that. They do leave with a little paper with check marks on recommendations, but I do encourage them that, they don't have to leave and buy all the things. It's just, you now know what your heart sounds look like. And now we can do better because you know better.
Right.
So
This is why Haylie is good at what she does. You really
want
are.
to give everyone a big hug most of the time.
Right. And being that encourager for them to make the recommendations, and then they get to decide what's right for them.
There's just so much information and you truly just don't know sometimes. And
Yes.
you don't know where to start. And so you start somewhere, but then you don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Often more so, it happens more times than it doesn't, where people bring in baggies of their supplements from home. I don't know if you've noticed lately, but people have been trucking in bags of their supplements. And all we do is we just go through the ingredients. How can we swap this for this? Do you notice this all says this and it's synthetic versus what you're looking at here? It's not. And so that's just a learning opportunity. That's fun for me.
Yeah.
Right on.
So you're doing a nutritional supplement audit for them.
Yeah, and then they
basically.
get to make their own decision moving forward. They then can read a label and they can figure out what they're purchasing, and then they get to help however many people they're connected to too. So it's just really cool.
You're
How much of this-
empowering.
how much of this is about financial tolerance? Because people will say supplements are so expensive.
Yeah.
And have you priced out cancer?
Well,
Like it's kind of expensive.
We need another podcast for that one.
yeah.
So I will include that conversation. And again, if their financial tolerance may be low, that's okay. That's not the end all be all. Then we talk about food.
Right.
A large amount of food, but we talk about food and or removing things.
Exactly.
But I will ask because that changes a lot of things.
It does.
If they're
and not everybody
willing.
has an unlimited budget for those things. So you got to start from where they can reach it.
I learned this from the people that I'm connected to outside of here, that we were just talking and she's like, I actually include my supplement allowance or money in my grocery budget. And I said, it's nutrients.
Right.
They're not vitamins and pills and supplements. They're nutrients. Why wouldn't you put that in your grocery budget?
I'm going to skip 2 Taco Bell visits and still have B Corps.
Well, did you do that on purpose?
I'm going to leave the Doritos here and take my,
Yes.
I get it.
No.
No
And it is.
judgment
It's-
zone here,
no.
though.
I love Taco Bell. I wish I could eat it, but I can't. So it's terrible for you.
Oh, yeah.
Our bodies tolerate a lot from us. And as long as we keep it all in moderation,
It's the 80-20 rule.
it is. Unless you're dealing with a significant illness,
Yeah. You just have to
The
make
body's
hard
kind of
choices
like any other ecosystem. It'll tolerate a certain amount of pollution, right?
until it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Until it's overloaded. And
Yeah.
when the burden gets higher,
Yeah.
the health of that person is going to go downward.
Haley, I have one more question for you, and then we'll see how our viewers can get in touch with you.
Okay.
But is there a particular success story that you have in regards to the heart sound recorder and how it significantly impacted a client's health?
That's a good one.
I know that you've had a lot of clients.
I was gonna say I can't really hear you.
And
Yeah, well,
here, you can write it down for her.
No, I heard it.
no, there's a couple. I mean, there's a
Well,
handful
I was
that
going
are
to say,
like
I'm
right
sure
off
that
the
there
top of my
are a
head.
bunch of them, but I didn't know if there was one especially just because I know how much you love your clients and if there was somebody in particular that you really felt like would.
The easiest one, and this is the one that I most of the time share with most people. I have the HSRs printed out from a comparison, and it's my grandma.
Oh, that's amazing.
so
And she won't mind you sharing.
No, she won't. She loves it.
You're a
She
superstar.
probably wishes she was here.
I was going to say
on.
we should probably have her on.
Oh, what's her? You want to
It's
say her name?
Geraldine.
Geraldine.
Yes.
Yes. And you guys have a special name for her.
We do. It's Geraldine.
There we go. Yeah. I heard that several times this weekend.
Everyone knows about Geraldine. But so she came in. This was shortly after we got the technology and let me do one on her.
That's awesome.
And she gets very nervous in kind of more medical scenarios and situations. And all we did, so we did the first recording. There was a significant need for some of those complex B vitamins. We recommended 2 B core a day. And for 8 days, she took 2 B core and came in and we did it again. And it was a night and day difference in all 4 graphs.
What? In just 8 days?
8 days. So most people, if they don't know, they will know now. B vitamins are not stored in the body, so they're used and then excreted. And so for her to be consistent, it was really important for us to see if this was really going to work.
Yeah.
And she had just the biggest smile on her face. I don't think she thought that it was going to do much because her doctor encouraged her to just do it to make me happy and that she was creating expensive urine. And so I printed them off and let her take
let
them,
her?
but she didn't take them
No.
with her, which is totally fine. But it was super cool. She's my favorite person that walks this earth as of right now. And
That's
so
amazing,
I
Haley.
just think that 8 days with 2 a day, and she eats potato chips for dinner. So like, it's not like she's missing out on vital nutrients based on her food consumptions. I mean, she doesn't eat a very nutritious diet.
Yeah.
And so to just know that by taking 2 a day, the nutrients that she was getting and her body was using them was just, it just made so much sense. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
here we go. This is going to be great.
Helping
I'm so
your
happy.
favorite person.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was back in the day. That was right after we got the technology. So she hasn't
love
stopped
that.
taking it.
Thank you for sharing that, Haley.
The other
That's
one
amazing.
that I sent
Yes,
somebody
he
up
loves
the
this
hall.
one.
I did. Well, one of my people and one of my friends, and he was
Gerald,
scheduled for a cardiac cath.
Oh.
In 2 days.
AFib was happening too, I think.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
And so we had just gotten the tech, and I said, "Hey, if you got 10 minutes, we're going to play a little
Right.
game."
Yeah.
So I sent him back to Haley, strapped him in, did the sounds, gave him 2 B core to chew, and before he left the building, the recording had improved, and they canceled his cath 2 days later. His cardiac person was like,
He was leaving here and going to a cardiology appointment.
Right.
And it was,
It was better.
in moments.
You guys,
And
that's
this is
amazing.
a 67-year-old person who was part of that club in the last 3 years that have seen significant cardiac changes.
Oh, okay.
And within
gotcha.
minutes,
I see. Yes.
within
Yeah.
minutes, his score had improved in a way that let him cancel a fairly invasive procedure.
yeah, it was. And he's been on B-Core ever since.
And
Okay.
doing great.
So definitely, how do people find you?
Yes. So we have a link that is on our website and most social media. So it'll take you right to an online booking.
Is it under nutrition, Haley?
It should be.
Okay.
If our
We'll put a
SEOs
link up
have
on the
it. Yeah,
screen.
yeah. We'll
put a
totally
link.
put the link
Perfect.
on there.
Okay.
Or you can always email info@livingwellspinecenter.com.
Okay.
And I check that email. So it'll come
Okay.
directly to me. And
Perfect.
I can totally contact and schedule that way. But yeah, or call the office, obviously.
Yeah, the online thing is a new thing, and it's working out great for your clients,
Yes,
though, right?
it's so convenient.
Yeah.
It's just
They can see for themselves where you
Yes.
have your openings, and then they can schedule.
read a little bit about each appointment. There's 3 offerings of 3
That's what I
different
was going to
types.
ask you, the time frame for each one of them.
Yes, they are different. We have our initial nutrition assessment, which is a very large and detailed appointment.
Very comprehensive.
Yes, and it takes about 75 minutes is what we allow for that. It usually can wrap up in about 60, but we allow 75. And then we have a nutrition follow-up.
Okay.
That is about 45 to 50 minutes. And those usually go more towards those people that have gone through that comprehensive appointment with me. And then you have your initial heart sound recorder appointment.
Okay.
And then from there, you would schedule in-house after that for
So
the follow-ups.
for your clients, they do the heart sound recorder separate from the initial.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
We've found, though, that the heart sound recorder appointment is an excellent way to say, do I need a follow-up
Yes,
appointment?
sure.
If I don't need it, I don't book it.
Okay.
But if the need is there, the heart sound recording appointment reveals that.
And it's affordable, I think, is really what is nice because, again, people don't know where to start. And if
Right.
they've already invested all this time and money into lots of other things with no answers,
Yeah.
kind of the last thing they want to do is just to jump right in and go into a really deep appointment with me too. And so the HSR intro or the initial for that is just a really nice way to ease into it and not break the bank.
Definitely.
Start making small changes.
Yes.
And that's about a 30-minute appointment for
The
just
initial
the
is
HSR?
45. I allow 45. It certainly does not take that. But when I haven't met with you before, especially if you're not someone who is currently a chiropractic patient,
Right.
We have a lot to catch up on.
A lot to catch up on.
Yeah.
And you take the time that's necessary to really hear the person and find out what's going on with them. Yeah. That's so critical in the beginning stages of a wellness journey.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's what you did for me. So it's the least I could do, right? I learned from the best. Big shoes to fill.
Listen to her.
I love this.
It was wonderful. And so were you guys going to do something special for people, the viewers that maybe are going to call and schedule with you in the next couple of weeks? Or is it?
I don't know. Are we? Yeah, we are actually. And so for everybody who calls in or logs on and schedules their initial heart sound recording evaluation, what we're going to do is one of two things.
One of two things.
One or two
One.
things. Okay.
We're going to include, because everybody's going to walk out of here with B Corps on their list.
Probably.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Or some sort of B for sure.
Yeah. So there's going to be a B vitamin that leaves the building with you. And for your initial
Complimentary?
intake, that first batch is going to be on us.
That's
Awesome.
The other
Cool.
thing we're going to do is make sure you leave with more information than you came in
Yes.
with.
Yeah.
And so the goal is just to
never
make
have
you feel smarter. The goal is to give you
Absolutely.
information that makes you a smarter healthcare consumer.
Yeah. Empowerment is so important. You,
And
you
that
have got
offer
to
is good
advocate
until
for
this
yourself.
podcast and until the next podcast drops.
So they
you'll
have a week?
You'll hear this podcast. You have 1 week. With which
that's
to
fair.
schedule
That is
appointment.
fair.
Yeah, this does not go for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
You got between this podcast and next week's podcast.
This helps to move
book
your
that
feet.
appointment.
Yes. And I will just say that if my availability is not open online to accommodate for this special, to call the office.
Okay.
Because sometimes our link to that is the way that the times are set up.
Yep.
It can be a little picky sometimes. And so if I can squeeze you in somewhere,
Yeah.
I will absolutely make it happen. So just call the office if you don't
Perfect.
find something within that time frame.
That's awesome.
1 week.
Yay. From
the launch.
You heard it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Anything else that you'd like to add, Haylie?
No, this has been so fun.
Been so
love
much
it.
fun.
If you're liking what you
With a
see
special
or
guest.
hear, and you've got other guests maybe that you want us to include and be a part of this situation, hit subscribe,
Subscribe for sure.
like, and share.
Have a gift to go out after we hit 500 on YouTube.
Oh, that's right. We've got a Fairborn
Yes.
package of things
Yes,
that are going to
it's
hit when
beautiful.
we hit 500
We keep
viewers.
adding to it too.
Whoa.
So yeah, the longer it's taking to get to 500.
Maybe some B vitamins will be in there.
Maybe
You
that's a
never
great
know.
idea.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Love it.
So subscribe button, like and share with all your friends, family, and acquaintances.
And we'll see you next week.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. Bye. Are we going to review Terry's?
No,
We don't have to do it on.
we are so
online.
out of time. Oh,
And that's a wrap.
if only we had some time.
And cut.